pretty well with time here, so let's jump in there. I motion that council receive CAO Brian Martinson's written report and action list for information.
All right, do you have anything you wish to bring to our attention?
Just that I had also attended a meeting with Councillor Rose and Courtley regarding the changes to recreation. So talks and discussions are going very well. The planning part is going very good. So our next meeting is early August 4th, I think it was. And we're seeking some advice from our solicitors right now on the changeover. So,
Okay.
and also next week I'll be attending a meeting in Grand Prairie on the returning officers course coming up for the fall elections. And along with that, there's some discussion on some changes to the MGA that have been finalized. So I'll be away for a couple days next week.
Okay. How about the gas service agreement? Is that discussions going along good too?
Maybe. We did have what we thought was agreement going well, and then it kind of went completely 180 degrees. So we had another meeting with them, and we're back online again. And
so is the gas service agreement, is it finished, or is this a renewal, or what exactly is this?
There had to be some changes made to the original one, and it didn't reflect all the reg stations, and I think Bern can explain it probably.
Yes.
The existing agreement was done in 2000, and there was no, there was changes made after the fact that weren't updated in the agreement. Some of the stations didn't reflect the proper land locations as to where they are, and just a few of the operational portions of the agreement. So it was due for to have a look at it.
Does this agreement have a termination clause, or is it just an ongoing agreement?
It's an ongoing agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not just between the town and Prairie River Gas. The Federation is involved in it too. Once we get an agreement together, then we'll have to forward it on to them for their approval, because they were part of the original agreement that was negotiated in 2000.
Right now, Prairie River, we had agreed at the meeting that they're going to do a draft agreement, send it to us for our comments, so we can pick it apart. Suggest changes also. So.
Okay. Any other questions on the CO's report, Councillor Panasic?
Just a few questions. One is what's happening with the franchise agreements and LED lights with ATCO. Is there?
Amanda's going to be here at our next meeting, and I think she's going to maybe give us some suggestions on the LED lights and possible changeovers. I don't know exactly what she wants to talk about, but
tied into that, have we ever heard back from Alberta Transportation on the costs that we're paying for the overhead lights along the highway?
none.
Nothing yet.
None.
Okay. That might be one of those things that we've got to get back on them and find out what's going on. Because I know when we met with them, they said we've triggered this whole review of the province, and they got to look at it, but we should be bringing it up again and say, yeah.
The other thing is, I won't be here at the next meeting, but perhaps somebody could ask, because of the brightness of the LED lights, is it feasible then to discontinue every other light along the highway? And because that would certainly impact how much we're paying and for Alberta Transportation. So if somebody could just ask that question for me.
Just had a couple other things. I really wanted just an update on what's happening with the Tim Hortons development.
At present, we're advertising in the South Beach News, which is required of all development permits. And it's been advertised for the first week, and we have one more week to go, and then we can issue the permit. And
So-
then at that time, they can come in and purchase the
building.
building permit, subject to a development agreement.
Okay. And I've heard other rumors of Husky truck stops. What's happening there?
That's another rumor that we're looking at, that they're in contact with my development clerk regarding that, so it almost looks like that's gonna be a go-to sometime this,
So they might be
Summer.
coming for a development permit.
yes.
That is awesome.
Councillor Gilroy?
I know that one of the suggestions on greater development of Highway 2 going through our area is to lower the speed limits at either end earlier so that the traffic can slow down faster and be a little more safer. If we are going to have more development in the especially undeveloped area on the one end. Have we heard anything from Alberta Transport on that possibility, or to even enter into some discussion so that we can, instead of building more roads, we can just lower the speed?
We haven't, administration hasn't heard nothing back.
So we don't have to do a traffic study then?
No, they didn't.
Not us.
Not us.
No, or they didn't have to?
I believe they did,
They did do one, yeah.
yeah.
Really? Was it a full-blown one or just?
I believe so, because the other one was 10 years old, eh?
And they just updated the existing one that was there. They did an update to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it didn't cost them as much, but it was still a full-blown survey, but not as much.
They were there to do traffic counts, yeah.
So is there a point in that subdivision with the hospital and the Tim Hortons and PV and Pops and all of the others when traffic lights are going to be looked at, either at this end of town or?
I can't answer that question, I don't know.
Because that's your best way to control your traffic speeds, is to get another set in, whether it's that KFC, which is a terrible corner, or,
I know previous councils have lobbied for
yeah.
lights there, and they're too close together. They don't want to stop, especially big truck traffic going through. It's basically a no-no for them, so.
Ring Road.
Yeah. Another bridge? Got much money?
No ring roads. It's a great way to lose money.
What is the process if we want? Do we start, if we wanted to traffic lights or we wanted to initiate traffic lights at the KFC, what would be the process? That's an investigation item?
It would be investigation, but it's got to be warranted, so
So what do? Come and do a traffic count?
I would think that they'd do their own study, know where the existing stop lights are, the lights are within our municipality.
Okay. All right, Councillor Gilroy, do you have anything else to ask our CAO?
No.
Okay. Is there,
I was fishing.
Is there anything else? Anybody else have a question? No? Then we have a motion to receive for information. All in favor? That motion is carried. Next item is the check listing. Councillor Long.
The council received the check listing for council from May 10th to 23rd, 2017 for information.
All in favor? That motion is carried. Council report, or the FCSS report. Could I have a motion? Councillor Gilroy.
I'll motion that council receives the April 2017 report from FCSS for information.
All in favor? The motion is carried. We now come to the written and verbal reports. And the first item is the mayor's report. You have my report written in front of you. Do you have any questions on the report? Councillor Gilroy?
When you next go back to Heart River Housing, I'd like to know how they feel about the about the proposed change to the integrated campus, because we do have a lot of their housing around here.
Okay.
And it is a significant place for any one of the areas there. So,
Yeah, I'll see what their comment is. Any other questions? No? Seeing none, I move my report for information. All in favor? The motion is carried. Next item is Councillor Danakis.
You have my report in front of you. Any questions?
I did have one question regarding where did I see it somewhere, that the library board, I thought it was the museum board, but it isn't. It's the library board has approved the purchase of 6 tents for $2,600. So
Yes.
are they different tents than what the Sesquicentennial had originally? Because that one was 15 tents for $1,000
I don't
each.
think they're different. They're just gonna be red and white with no logo, they will have sides. I think they're basically the same as what
Okay.
they were originally looking at.
And we as Sesquicentennial, correct me if I'm wrong, but, because I've known to be wrong on this before, but we had agreed, Tammy was changing the RFD and presenting it, and we were going to provide funding for them, but they don't want it, so I'm not gonna argue with them
Okay.
at all. Am I correct on that?
Well, we were making the recommendation.
Yeah.
That if the town wanted to, that we could support it.
Okay.
If there's no other questions, I move my report for information.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Gilroy?
just a couple quick, on a verbal one here. I was very pleased and privileged to be part of the cadet honoring. It was a really good time, and it was, I think it's a really good program that they were running there. As well, basically, I think Councillor Rose covered everything from our FCSS meeting, which I thought she would, so I didn't want to duplicate things. We had a great, very short MPC meeting, which was encouraging, because once again, anytime we get more businesses, whether they're home-based or others in this town, that's always an encouragement. And it was a real, it was a privilege to be there at the capping and pinning ceremony, to see all of those, all the potential nurses, and I was able to talk to quite a few of the graduates. I intentionally did that, and both that and when we were there the following day for the convocation, they got smart. They didn't have me speak. Instead, they had me sit up there in a nice hot gown beside our county councillor friend, Dawn, and neither of us got to speak. We gave it all to our MLA to speak, and she did a good job. But it was a great time to connect with all the different graduates there, and I think it was well worth going, not just to support the college, but I have a second booklet. One I gave to the council earlier. I have a second one that I'd like to leave at the desk in case people don't want to go online to Northern Lakes College to see all the grad stuff. It's very interesting to see all the different types of graduates they had there, from paramedics, nurses, business administration, and it was a very well done. The decorations were amazing, and the football team actually cleaned up afterward. So it was just an amazing thing, and very good for our town to have been showcased that way. And so I want to also thank them for inviting us to be part of it. And I move my verbal report for acceptance. So.
All in favor? The motion is carried. Councillor Long?
Sesquicentennial Committee last night, and Canada Day is going great, and the organization is going phenomenal. McIntyre Park gazebo's already being built. Flowers doing well. The pansies, not so much. Talked to the CAO already about that. But overall, things are coming together quite nicely. Our film festivals are out, posters and everything else. Noelle and I have to meet with some of the outlying schools. And yeah, it's coming along really, really well. I'm pleased. It was a slow start, but that was good. That's
What's
all.
happening with the mosaic? Is there a deadline for?
The mosaic, we're lacking entries and whatnot, but
Is it advertised anywhere?
it's advertised, yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it's first off, we have to get the pictures submitted as to how they're going to look and how it's going to be incorporated into the training, and then the other artists come in and
Yes.
do all the stuff they have to do. So regardless of if we end up not getting enough, then they take on some of that role as well.
Well, I understood that you were looking for a picture that represents High Prairie.
Correct.
And then what were you going to do with the picture? Say, here's the picture, now what kind of tiles are you going to do, or how, are you going out to the schools? Is that what you were doing?
I wasn't,
No,
but
please.
there'll be that as well, and basically whatever picture is decided upon then gets created from these tiles of other pictures.
Right.
That how it all transpires and how
So
it happens.
who's handling it?
That one is being handled by Tammy and Debbie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you've got a suggestion, send it to Tammy or Dick
Yes,
for
absolutely.
this picture.
And we also had our new member at large come on board. Help me out, Brian. Her name
Kirsten.
is.
Kristen Swan.
Kirsten.
Yes, thank you. And she's a firecracker, so that's a lot of fun. And kept us on task pretty good too, so it's good.
Okay. I'll bring that up in August. Councillor Panasic? Move your report for information.
I moved my report for information.
All in favor? Councillor Panasic?
Verbal report, you covered the FCM quite well, and I guess one of the, in your report from the mayor, you covered lots of the things there. The other interesting thing that I came up with was we've all been contacted, I believe, by Animal in the Woods Rescue. They made this.
Thank you.
They actually had one of their trade show booths was about cats and dogs, and I gathered up their stuff. They will come out and actually do some discussions on how to make things better here, and I forgot to bring it today, but an interesting one. They had one in the trade show there, so I'm going to throw that one in. Waste Authority meeting was held in between, and that one, there was new contracts given out for the management of the regional waste authority, or the regional site, and then also for the other ones, the transfer stations. So new contracts there. We had an airport meeting yesterday. The big highlight out of that is that they are not moving ahead with the repaving and extension of the runway. Just did not get the money from the government, and was the biggest factor in that. And they're hoping to.
Actually, they didn't get can I interrupt?
Absolutely.
We didn't get the funding from the government because one of the stipulations from the government was it had to have a certain aspect of business or local industry involved in the funding, and that was nil. There was no money put in by any industry in the area, so that made that part of the funding null and void, basically.
So, yeah, it's not moving ahead this year. There's lots of hope that it's going to go ahead next year. Really thought there should be a push this year because they're gonna have the paving crews close by, but Alberta Transportation said that next year there's going to be paving in the area also, so it shouldn't increase the price of doing it next year that much more. Should be close by. So that was good. They also are gonna get likely started fairly soon on the siding of the terminal building. And thirdly, there's still some, we need to deal with the ownership issue of the airport fairly quickly, because that's holding some of the stuff up with them, and we can talk about that maybe at our next meeting, but that's the other issue from them. And Councillor Long covered the sesquicentennial stuff that I would have addressed to.
If I can just add to your in the woods, she had phoned, I think, everybody.
Everybody.
And so, again, asking, because we are the only community in our area, and they have about 20% of the cats they get are from us.
Did she say that?
Yes.
So she's counted them?
Well, she's saying
30 cats.
30 cats.
So she did count. Okay, good, because that's what I asked her to do.
As well, they had 2 that had kittens, litters of kittens. So, in that being said, she's asking for budget deliberations coming up for next year that we include $500 or something, and she used the term $500 would be more than enough to help them offset those costs. So there, that's it.
Just with that, I asked her what she was suggesting, and she didn't come up with a dollar figure. She came up with the fact that we should be changing our bylaw. That's
Yes.
Yeah, that it should be a change in our bylaw where, well, it's not a change, I guess it's an enforcement in our bylaw, because if you read our bylaw, it just says that any pets are supposed to be licensed, but we haven't enforced cat licensing, but that's what she thinks should happen, is we should be enforcing cat licenses and stuff. That's what she told me.
Do you have a question for?
This was further to they're supposed to be sending us stats, but for the end of June
Oh, okay.
for that.
Then we can discuss.
So that we can bring that forward. But I further to what Brian had said, if you remember correctly, when they'd asked us a few meetings ago to go to their fundraiser, there's not that much difference to what we were going to suggest as a gift to them and what they're suggesting we put in the budget. So it should be put in the deliberations.
Okay.
But off the topic, they paved Max Milk today.
Yes.
Oh,
nice.
yes.
They paved it.
Paved.
They had to dig out all those cars that got lost in there, but no, but thumbs up, they actually paved it. It was awesome.
Now, if we can get the drugstore to do theirs off the highway, that'd be perfect.
One at a time.
I move my report for information.
All those in favor? That's carried. Councillor Courtly?
Verbal report, like our CEO said, was that we met with the gas, over the gas service agreement, involved in that, ongoing. Went to the West Fraser meeting, which was actually very enlightening and a good tour and lots of great information. Positive things are happening there. Very happy with that. Lots of expansion and growth there. It's fantastic. Had a rec board meeting. Basically, a few highlights out of that. $12,000 was made in the Ladies Night Out fundraiser. That's what they figured. So that money's been put aside because it was basically to start fundraising towards a idea of a splash park. So that money's been put aside in a capital account. And safety audit. What did the dates? Did Debbie have?
Yeah, something about it.
Oh yeah, July 5th and 6th. That's what it was. I didn't write that down, but July 5th and 6th will be the safety audit. Red Cross will be here the 5th and 6th to do a complete safety audit on the pool and the functioning and how everything works. Is at a rec board restructuring meeting, which is coming along well, which Brian touched on. It's a long process. We're trying to speed it up, but we're coming into holiday mode with a few people that are involved. So it's we're working around that, as well as at the airport advisory meeting with Brian. So it's basically, like he said, a no-go on the paving and expansion this year, but possibly next year, because they did promise. Alberta Infrastructure did say that there's going to be lots of projects in and around the area next year, so that we'll still maintain, or they figure they'll still have the same pricing. Like, because that was the main push this year. Before that was we were going to get a savings on the asphalt and because the pavement crew was in the area, and they said that there's more construction next year in and around the area that will maintain that savings. So. Questions?
Just a comment on the paving, if anybody has been driving east of town, that is fantastic, the road that way.
It is, isn't
They're
it?
really moving along there.
Yeah, I see they've got all the surveying. They've come right to Jussard there now, I think. So they're continuing on with the milling and then the repaving right behind. I think they're doing a bang-up job. Coming along very fast, actually. You bet.
Councillor, yeah.
I was going to say, is there any way that, are they going to, when they get closer this way, are we going to be able to recapture some of that milling? Are they recycling that? Are they recycling it? Are they? Okay.
I just want to say I believe credit should be given where credit's due, and I appreciate all the extra work that the rec department is doing with programming. It is. We wanted it here a couple years, but there is so much more programming that I'm seeing advertised than I can remember since being here, and that includes the softball tournament that they've already advertised in the big play, which I hope that people who want to listen to this, and hopefully it'll be up in time, that there'll be a lot of teams there in that to make it a really special July 1st.
And also, I was unable to attend. I was working, but the rec board and a few members of I think were you there, Linda, for the seniors barbecue. I think it went well attended, lots of people.
Yep.
It was a good turnout, I heard. And that was just before the West Fraser meeting. But yeah, no, and again, there's one more thing that they're doing to put a positive movement out towards the public, right? So it's good. I move any other questions? Move my verbal report for information.
All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Rose is not here, but her written report is attached. So, hope you don't have any questions because she's not here to answer it. So I move her report for information. All in favor? Carried. And we will take a 5-minute break, and then we'll move into in camera.